TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And I want to let you know that the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Over 2 million men worldwide have joined the movement for all their below-the-waist needs. Engineers for the last 18 months have perfected the greatest hair trimmer ever created, the Lawnmower 3.0. The third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. You can choose the Lawnmower 3.0 as well as other items by going to manscaped.com, and you can also save 20% by using the promo code State of Saints. That's manscaped.com. Use the promo code State of Saints and save 20% on the Lawnmower 3.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. What's going on with that nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you very much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints quarterback battle. And is it really a competition, or is it just a bunch of lip service? But I want to say thank you for allowing the State of the Saints podcast to be a part of your morning, noon, afternoon, evening, wherever you're watching this podcast, whether it's live or whether you catch it pre-recordedly. Thank you so much. Shouts out to everybody in the chat right now. Really do appreciate that. But the reason why I decided to come up with this topic is simple. Sean Payton, he was at the Zurich Classic. The Zurich Classic is stop on the PGA Tour that takes place in New Orleans, and he was part of the pre-am. It's when you get like different athletes, celebrities, to come out and play a golf game. And, Drew Brees was one of those people, Will Lutz, Taysom Hill also took part in it, and of course, head coach Sean Payton. But he stopped by, talked to the media, the local media. It's been a while since we heard from Coach Payton, since towards the end of the season. Like, we haven't really heard from Coach Payton. So he took a few questions, about, several topics. He talked about, different positions, but there's no more important position that he, a lot of people want to hear about than a quarterback position. I mean, we can talk about the NFL draft till we're blue in the face. We can talk about what the Saints need till we're blue in the face, but the most important position of need is the quarterback position. So it was asked to him about, how comfortable does he feel about the quarterback position? And this is what he said.
Sean, you say quarterback is not a must position.
Correct.
Is it a higher priority now than it would have been last year, the year before?
I feel like we've got two real good candidates under contract, and we feel strongly about those guys.
Excuse me. As you can see, he's very comfortable with those guys, that he has in the locker room. He's very comfortable with Taysom Hill. He's very comfortable with Jameis Winston. So for all my people out there that's, sending me these mock drafts, via email, via inbox, talking about the Saints need to get themselves a quarterback, there's no more important, voice than Sean Payton. Look, everything we're doing right now is just exactly what the title says, a bunch of lip service. Like, we basically can be, armchair GM, armchair head coaches. We can do all these different things. But when Sean Payton, who knows these guys better than anybody else, who knows these guys more than any other person, when he says that he's comfortable with it, I have no choice. Okay, so his thoughts and views completely negates anything that I say or anything we have to say. But as far as the quarterback competition, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't feel like there is much of a competition. The only way that I can see Taysom Hill actually coming in and beating out Jameis Winston in training camp is if Taysom Hill just becomes a completely different version of himself that we have not seen before. Look, a lot of people think that I don't like Taysom Hill. A lot of people think that I got something against Taysom Hill. Some people feel like I just don't, look at Taysom Hill the same way I look at Jameis. I think I'm pretty impartial with my judgment on both guys. I've said this before. The only argument that I have is I said we need to give Jameis an opportunity because a lot of people are building their I guess logic or based on what he did in Tampa, and so a lot of people aren't giving him a fair opportunity. And when it comes to Taysom Hill, I do feel like Jameis has the advantage because Jameis, to me, is a better overall quarterback. He has better skills than Taysom Hill does. And I don't feel like I'm the only person that feels that way. It's been, players that I've actually had opportunities to speak with, Like I've asked questions to via social media or, off the record. And they've said this, Like they said they prefer Jameis Winston over Taysom Hill. I don't know what else to tell a person. Now I know people have their picks and chooses and they want to feel right. They want to say that I got it right. But when you got people that actually are going to be catching a football from this person, blocking for this person, these people are telling that they prefer another guy over Taysom Hill. It's hard for me to believe otherwise. So I do feel like out of respect for Taysom, they're going to put together a quarterback competition. They're going to put it together. But in my opinion, I think that Sean Payton already knows that he wants to roll with Jameis Winston. I think that Sean Payton looks at Jameis Winston like a guy that he considers as a steal. This guy was a first pick overall. He was a guy that was brought in. He's a Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. Guy won on every level. All he has to do is kind of clean up his touchdown to interception ratio, and you have yourself a very credible quarterback. And, I think I have to address this particular situation because, every now and then, I go to different groups and I see different comments. So I think I have to address this particular situation because one thing that I really can't stand, but really bothers me is when people take my words and take it out of context. All right. So I think I have to set the record straight. Yesterday on the State of the Saints podcast, on the last episode, I talked about how we need to lower our expectations towards Jameis Winston. And somebody took that upon themselves and said that I said that we need to stop judging the quarterback competition the way that we normally do. That is not the case. What I'm saying is if you put Drew Brees up against Jameis Winston, it's a no-brainer. Drew Brees is leaps and bounds better as a quarterback than Jameis Winston is right now, right? So with that, we judge Drew Brees on a completely different scale. His level of greatness makes us judge other quarterbacks, differently. And because he's so good, sometimes that can cloud our judgment about how we evaluate quarterbacks. So a lot of us feel like if a guy doesn't come through the door and doesn't have the same skill set and abilities as Drew Brees, then he is a failure. But what I'm saying is Drew Brees is a top 10 quarterback of all time. So when I say lower your expectations, I mean all-time great type expectations because Drew Brees is an all-time great. There's only a handful of guys that are all-time greats. Everybody else is just going through the motions and being a serviceable quarterback. So I cannot judge Jameis or Taysom or any other quarterback that would come into the Saints organization the way that I judge Drew Brees. And if anybody is judging a quarterback based on what they saw out of Drew Brees, is unfair to that quarterback. Okay? If that quarterback starts to win, if that quarterback starts to develop, if you see the team starting to win because of that quarterback, then you can adjust your judgment. But a guy coming in, having to learn a new playbook, having to learn new philosophies, having to learn his players, it is hard for me to evaluate that guy the same way I've been evaluating the same quarterback that I know who is going to be the quarterback for the last 15 years. Anybody that is evaluating Jameis or Taysom the same way they're evaluating Drew Brees is wrong. I'm sorry. You are not going to get the type of production right away like you got from Drew Brees, because Drew Brees is an all-time great. When you start naming top 10 quarterbacks of all time, Drew Brees' name comes up, right? If you start naming top 15 quarterbacks, you're not going to hear Jameis. You start naming top 20, 30 quarterbacks, you're not going to hear Jameis. You're not going to hear Taysom. So why would you judge any other metrics? Why would you judge them on the same level of playing field as you would with Drew Brees? If you know for a fact that these guys aren't even in the damn room. That is what I'm saying. But you still can judge these guys according to their ability, right? If they go out there and they stink it up, of course, I can get on here on the State of the Saints podcast and say, man, they stunk, right? If they throw an interception at an inopportune time, of course I can come on here and say, man, that ain't what that is. But I'm not going to say, well, throwing through a tight window, man, Drew would have made that pass. You know what I'm saying? With a back shoulder fade, man, Drew would have threw a back shoulder fade. No, because those guys are not Drew Brees, and I'm not going to do that. I am going to judge guys based on what they put on the field, all right? And also, as far as the turnovers are concerned, situational football is key, right? Drew Brees in situational football, we sat here on several occasions and said that Drew Brees is the best situational quarterback in NFL history. I mean, the guy is a master of the 2-minute drill. A master of the 2-minute drill. So why, in a 2-minute situation, are we looking at Jameis, Taysom, and Drew in the same light? You're wasting your damn time if you do that. But I want to thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. About to get to the questions, and special shout out to Clarence. Thank you very much for the $10, my friend. Thank you so much. And also, there is a special episode of the State of the Saints podcast that is available to supporters that is up right now. Is talking a little bit about Sean Payton and some of the needs that Sean Payton feels that the team needs. And I talked a little bit about that. So for all the supporters here on YouTube, all the supporters on Facebook, there's a special video episode of the State of the Saints podcast up for you right now. Terence says, tired of saying this, TJ, but Taysom will ultimately become the Saints starting quarterback. Taysom has the it factor, whatever it is. Look, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm not mad at that. And I'm not here to sway anybody's judgment. I'm not here to sway anybody's judgment. I give my opinion based on how I feel about a situation. Terence, that's how you feel. You feel like he has the it factor. I'm not going to change your mind. All right. To me, I just feel like they want Jameis Winston to end up working out. Now, the only way that I can see Taysom actually being a starter is, like I said, if he completely comes into the quarterback competition and changes the entire way that he plays. You got to change. Not only do you have to change the way that you're playing a quarterback position, but you also have to change the mind of some of those guys that felt like the Saints should have went with Jameis in the first place. That is, what I'm saying? That's an uphill battle. So, if you think that he has the it factor, I'm not here to change your mind. He may have that it factor. I mean, only time will tell. But I'm willing to give him the opportunity. But as of right now, in every conversation that I'm hearing longer conversations about Jameis and a little bit of conversation about Taysom. Urinic says, we know Coach Payton love him some Taysom, though. Look, I think that people are taking that out of context. I think he loves Taysom for what he possesses, what he is, which is an overall football player. Who wouldn't love that? This guy's a mismatch, a matchup nightmare, He's a matchup nightmare. right? You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know if he's going to he's going to run a football, if he's going to throw the ball 50 yards down the field. That is hard for a defense to scheme against. That is tough. So I can understand why, because it gives Sean Payton and his coaching staff the advantage. So I would love him too. If I knew I can bring him in a game and be like, okay, look, Taysom, they think you're probably going to run this football. They think you're going to do a quarterback sneak or, a quarterback screen or something like that. Throw this ball 50 yards down the field, Deontay Harris. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think, like, the guys are so wide open when he does decide to throw the football? It's because everybody expects for him to run. And when he does throw the ball, it hurts teams. It hurts them. There's not a doubt in my mind. If Taysom wouldn't have got hurt in that game versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know what I'm saying, most likely the Saints probably would have ended up winning that football game. He is that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? He would have been the one that threw the pass downfield to Traquan Smith. I don't care what the national media talk about. Well, why they choose Taysom to throw the ball instead of Jameis? Why they choose Jameis to do it? They chose Jameis because Taysom was out with a knee injury. Tell your analytical people and your interns to do a little bit more homework. But anyway, he likes Taysom Hill. He likes Taysom Hill for what he possesses. He's an overall football player. Who don't want that? Who don't want that on their team? Who don't want a guy that's going to lower their shoulder and run a guy over? Who don't want a guy that's going to go out there and do everything that he can possibly do to help a team win? I want that. You want that. So why not? I think that people are just thinking like it trickles off into the quarterback position. No, it doesn't. It trickles off to the fact, trickles off to him being an overall football player. He's an overall football player. He does great things overall. You can line him up as a tight end, he's going to catch the ball. You can line him up as a running back, he's going to run a guy over. You can line him up as a quarterback, he can throw the ball over the defender head. Who wouldn't want that? It's almost like playing NBA 2K with a custom-made player with 99 all the way turned up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an advantage. Ren says, I truly believe Winston will be the starter because he really deserves the opportunity to prove himself, and Hill can win you some games, but can't do it a whole season. Ren, I appreciate that. Look, what does a person really deserve? You know what I'm saying? Do we deserve anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I feel like this, man. I understand how the world works. If a person works at a job for an extended amount of time, we need to give this person this opportunity. But does that person, deserve that opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Are they putting in the work or just the fact that they've been there for a long time? I'm not going to say that Jameis deserves an opportunity based on the fact that he's Jameis Winston and all that. But Jameis has to come in and prove something to people. I want him to succeed. I want him to be successful. I want Taysom to be successful. But at the same time, I don't believe in consolation prizes. I don't believe in lifetime achievement awards just because you're around. You got to earn your spot. Jameis has all the skills in the world to be an elite quarterback. But if he can't go out there and perform those skills, then it's pointless. And he does not deserve that opportunity. But if he comes into training camp, ready to rock and roll, focused, dialed in, doing all the little things it takes in order to take your career to the next level, then I'm for that. But I'm not for a guy just coming, he deserves. No. You don't deserve nothing. You earn every opportunity you get. People like even with this show, TJ, you deserve the opportunity. No, I deserve nothing. You know what I'm saying? I earn it. Every time, I do this. You earn your opportunities. Just because you had a job for 10 years don't mean that they should just automatically just make you, a supervisor or, a head or whatever. You earn that opportunity. Do your hard work. Do your dedication. You know what I'm saying? If a person not paying attention to you, you make them pay attention to you. That's the only thing that he deserves. And if he's not doing that, then next, straight up. But as far as like him getting the opportunity, I'm all for that. I understand about the whole Taysom Hill situation. I agree in that regards, Ren. As of right now, the way that I feel about Taysom Hill, I do feel like, he can probably win you some games. He'll probably start off hot, and then as teams start to develop and figure out his tendencies, I think it might be an issue. Jules says, Taysom Hill doesn't impress me. Last year when he had an opportunity to start, do you remember the Eagles game? Yeah, not only do I remember the Eagles game, but I remember the Denver Bronco game too. See, people only remember the outcome of the game, but they don't remember the entire totality of the game. They don't remember the fact that he was lining up in wrong formations, which, like I said, I'm not going to hold him accountable for that, okay? This is your first time, you're nervous, whatever. I'm not going to hold you accountable for that. But what I am going to hold you accountable for is when the defense was coming after you and you was running around like a dead headlights. I am going to hold you accountable to the fact that you couldn't get the ball to one of arguably the best pass catching running backs in the NFL at Alvin Kamara. I am going to hold you accountable for the fact that you throwing the ball into triple coverage only for the ball to be intercepted. And if it wasn't for the situation that Denver was going through, there's not a doubt in my mind that Taysom Hill would have been 2-2 as a quarterback instead of 3-1 as a quarterback. Drew Lock not playing in that game and them having to go to a wide receiver to play their quarterback position due to COVID and close contacts, that is the reason why the Saints won that game. And if you combine that with the fact that they did, man, this ain't working. Let's just get a ball to Latavius Murray until we blew in the face. And the defense finally got tired because because the guys couldn't move the football. That is the reality of it all. That is the reality. So I'm judging people based on that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm judging people based on, the Eagles game. Like we can talk about that also. But I can't give him credit that late in the game, he did throw the ball to Emmanuel Sanders in the back of the end zone, you know what I'm saying, for the touchdown. I can't give him credit for that. He did, keep it close. But at the same time, like we look at these players and you gotta, you gotta call it for what it is. He could have easily been 2-2 as a starter instead of 3-1. Sometimes you gotta be more lucky than good. And in that case, the Saints were extremely lucky. Jerry said Jameis Winston wins the quarterback battle, case closed. Well, I don't think it's as simple as that. Of course, they can't just come out there and say it, man. Only time will tell. Mario says Jameis better skills, Taysom better knowledge of the playbook. I can't even say that, Mario. I can't say that. And, I think that we can't just say that just because of longevity, right? Just because Taysom has been in the Saints uniform longer than Jameis doesn't mean he grasps the concept of the playbook better, okay? I mean, if that's the case, every backup quarterback that have come in to an organization needs to start over a starter, right? Because in all actuality, if you have been a backup quarterback for a team 3-4 years, like a Colt McCoy or something like that, like you've been in Washington the entire time, why is it that they're still going out here looking at other quarterbacks and not choosing you, right? You know what I'm saying? So I can't say that. He may know terminology, you know what I'm saying? Like he may know certain terminologies, but that don't mean he grasps the concept of the playbook better than Jameis can, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like just because Jameis has the skill set, that he possesses doesn't mean that he might go out there and outplay Taysom. It basically, is you got to be able to grasp the playbook and execute, right? Some players know that playbook, but they just can't execute. Jessica says a second-string quarterback cannot replace Hall of Fame legend Drew Brees. I would suggest Mac Jones, a fresh new face in an undefeated season. I believe he is the only option appropriate for the position. And the only reason, and Jessica, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Since we're at your question, I would encourage or like for you to elaborate on that a little bit more. Out of all the quarterbacks that are in the NFL draft, what makes Mac Jones stand out more to you? Okay, I don't want to put words in your mouth, and you feel free to tell me, if I'm right or wrong here. But I think that your logic is based on the fact of Mac Jones' skill set and how similar it is to Drew Brees. Like a lot of people are comparing Mac Jones' abilities to that of a Drew Brees, not having the biggest arm in the world, but putting the ball where it needs to be. not going to knock his socks off with some of the, the passes that he throws, but he's just efficient. He fits that so-called Prius type quarterback play that I talk about here. Like I talk about the Prius. Like we look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees is reliable like a Prius. He's not going to knock your socks off like a Prius. But at the same time, a Prius gets you where you need to go, and it's extremely efficient, right? You save on gas, because of a Prius. You know what I'm saying? You can go further with a Prius. And a lot of people look at Mac Jones in that same type of mode. So that's why his name constantly comes up. His name constantly comes up because he fits that mode of a Drew Brees. Now, Jessica, like I said, feel free to tell me why you chose Mac Jones out of all the other quarterbacks. Maybe it's because you feel like he would be there. Maybe you feel like other quarterbacks don't fit that mode. Feel free to comment and kind of elaborate why you chose him. But a lot of people are choosing Mac Jones based on the fact that he kind of is, a Drew Brees prototype. But I can also make an argument to say, damn, you went to Alabama, dude. You know what I'm saying? Who can't succeed at Alabama? I mean, we see so many Alabama quarterbacks that have come along, that have played for the University of Alabama, that have excelled at the University of Alabama and can't transition to the pros. Now, I mean, Tua Tagovailoa right now is having a tough time. Jaylen Hurst, only time will tell. I look at Jaylen Hurst as an Alabama quarterback, even though he transferred to Oklahoma. You look at some of the guys like McElroy, you know what I'm saying? Like guys like that. You know what I'm saying? AJ McCarron, all these different guys who have had great talent around them, but they were a product of the system more so than what they were actually doing. Like, of course, if I know that Waddle is about to beat this guy by 15, 20 yards, I can put the ball where it needs to be. Of course, I'm going to put the ball in the hands of a Henry Ruggs, right? And you know what I'm saying? I'm going to let him go out there and do work. Devontae Smith, I'm going to let him go out there and do work. So a lot of that stuff could be a product of the system, but you don't have that advantage. And there's a very small, you know what I'm saying, like it is such a huge learning curve going from college to the pros. And you might have 15 yards of separation. You only have about 5, if you're lucky, 7 or 10. So can he be able to make some of those throws? And can he put the players in position for them at their positions to be successful? So I don't know. We're going to scroll down a little bit, folks. I do apologize. A lot of people had something to say. I said quite a bit. But we're going to stroll down a little bit, and we're going to start at Gigatis here. Shouts out to Chemo. I see you up in there, man, giving a shout out to the Who Dat family. Gigatis said, talking to Jared Poor, he says, I want to believe in Jameis, but I need to see him on the field. Fair assessment, Gigatis. You got to see it. You know what I'm saying? You got to see it happening. Like, we can talk about this all we want to talk about, Huge wrestling fan, folks, so y'all know I got to use at least one wrestling analogy or demonstration to talk, right? So there was this big match at WrestleMania 20, right? It was Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, right? This was a huge match, right? This was Goldberg in his prime. This was Brock Lesnar, you know what I'm saying, the young Brock Lesnar. And both of these two bulls were supposed to collide at WrestleMania. And everybody was so excited about it. You know what I'm saying? They were anticipating this match. But it didn't happen the way that it was supposed to pan out. You know what I'm saying? Both guys were very disinterested. Nobody seemed like they wanted to be there. The crowd booed it out of the building, right? But the fact is, I needed to see it. You know what I'm saying? For me to come to that conclusion. On paper, it looked like it was one hell of a match. But in reality, it was not. On paper, we want to believe that Jameis Winston has all the tools, and based on his circumstances was the reason why he couldn't succeed. Nobody can succeed in that type of environment. We want to believe that, right? Because we have to. Let's call a spade a spade. Who that nation? We have to believe that. We got to believe it, because the success of a team that we love is on the backs of a guy that a lot of people consider a failure. And we want that guy to succeed because we all win, right? The stigma or the stench of mediocrity, just downright failure that is coming out of the pores of Jameis Winston. And at the same time, this guy can change the narrative of what people think about him. And at the same time, we went in a process because now we still keeping those winning ways going, man. The winning wagon is keep on rolling, right? So we all win. His success is tied to how we feel about the team, right? So we want him. We want him to succeed. But at the same time, I agree with Gigatis. We got to see it. We have to see it. A lot of people, I understand their skepticism. I am not here. Once again, that is not my job. My job here is to give you my opinion on how I feel about certain situations. I am not here to change anybody's mind. If you have to see it, fine. I mean, it's pretty, it's pretty fair, for you to want to, believe that. So I have no problem with that. Giving a shout out to the OG from Chemo. Who that? Giving a Chemo slice up in here. Rest in peace to George Floyd. Yeah, man, rest in peace to George Floyd. I have to say, man, in that particular case, Chauvin, there are really no winners in this. It's good justice was served, but at the same time, there are no winners. I mean, you can't get back George Floyd. He won't never be with his daughter again. He will never be able to, see his daughter grow up, do some of the things that people do, and at the same time, families are in shambles on both sides. But, I just, I'm happy that this is, that justice was served. I'm not going to lie about that. But I just think that we all just need to be able to communicate so we won't be able to have these type of situations happen ever again. I just think that the world leaders are doing such an outstanding job at separating us. The whole divide and conquer thing is real, folks. If I can keep you over here mad at me, and keep them over there mad at you, then we can never talk and really express or really explain like what's really going on in this world. We miss out on opportunities, friendships, like just a whole bunch of stuff because we think we understand the narrative. We don't talk to each other. We don't try to understand each other. We look at each other based on how we dress, based on how we talk, based on how we interact, based on the people that they feel like we're around, based on where we live. We do all of that instead of actually talking to the folks. You have individuals that watch conservative news, watch liberal news, and think for some apparent reason that they get the whole picture, right? This white guy living in his neighborhood, he don't understand his white privilege. This black person growing up in this hood ain't never going to amount to nothing. Until we start having conversations with each other, there's always going to be George Floyd. There's always going to be Darren Chauvins. There's always going to be all these different situations constantly going up. And the real winners are the people that are in power, the people that are in the media that is continuously stirring the pot for their own monetary gain. Those are the real true winners, folks. And before we move on, I want to encourage anybody, if you haven't checked this out, but I want you to check out an article that was written by a guy named Willie Lynch. And Willie Lynch wrote this philosophy on how to train a slave, right? And I feel like not only did it apply back in the day, but it applies to now. And I'm not even talking about just when it comes to black people. I'm talking about all people. His philosophy is reigning supreme today. His philosophy was separating the light skin from the dark skin. His philosophy also was to, bring a slave out there when they're out of line and beat them into submission and have every other slave around them see what the master is doing to this slave. So they can understand not to do it again. The mind frame of what I'm saying is when it comes to Willie Lynch in today's society, keeping the light skin and dark skins together, separated from each other, having them envious of each other, angry at one another. The cultures, the black culture, white culture, Asian culture, Muslim culture, Arabic culture, all that. They separate us So we can't have the conversations of what's going on in this world and try to fix these problems. As long as they keep us separated, as long as we sit there and look at those split screens, one person feeling this way, one person feeling that way, only tuning into news that only fits our agenda so we can feel like we're not crazy and not trying to understand the other side and come to one another with an open mind, we're going to continue to have these same issues. We're going to continue to have these same problems. The George Floyds are going to exist. The Darren Chauffins are going to exist. There are going to be countless, separations of philosophies and thoughts and views and stereotypes are going to continue to reign supreme because we are never going to turn around and look at who is really the enemy. And it ain't neither one of us. It's not. It's not. At the same time, do you understand that the way that you're thinking and your philosophies and thoughts and that hate that is being created and festering up, because of what you're hearing. On the other end, somebody's making a hell of a lot of money giving you that philosophy. We have to become thinkers for ourselves. And we have to stop prejudging people before they even open their mouths and we even open ours. So that's my thoughts on it. Now we can move on and talk a little bit more about the Saints. Remember, 30 interceptions, 12 and 14 weren't on him also. Let's see, 10 of the 30 came in the last 3 games when Jameis played without his 2 starters, wide receivers, and had a broken thumb on his throwing hand. Well, Jerry, very good points, but here's the reality. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like, nobody cares about that, right? When I was online, when I was pledging, they used to tell us, what are excuses? They said, excuses are tools that are competent that build monuments of nothing, right? So nobody want to hear excuses. Nobody want to hear excuses. Nobody cares about your throwing arm. Nobody cares about how many wide receivers were out. People only care about the end result and him throwing up those W's. That's all they care about. Now, that's a great point. Once again, very valid. Hope people take that into consideration. But yeah, some people that are going to take it into consideration, Jerry, and then there are going to be other individuals that use that to build on to the hatred that they have for Jameis Winston. Well, I don't want to say hatred, but the skepticism of Jameis Winston. Lou says it ain't true. History won the Super Bowl when he left. His team won the Super Bowl when he left. But look, but that's not the same team. That was not the same team. And once again, I go back to what I was saying at the beginning of the show. You have an all-time great quarterback, and you're comparing him to a guy that isn't even in the room. Tom Brady is arguably the greatest quarterback to ever put on a pair of cleats. And we're really comparing Jameis Winston to that. And you're also not looking at the fact that Tom Brady can pick up the phone and call anybody he wants to, and they can come on out there. He got Antonio Brown on that team. He got Leonard Fournette to come out there. He got Shady McCoy to come through the spot. You know what I'm saying? He was even trying to get Marshawn Lynch from what I heard. So, and then on top of that, it's one thing to go from I think I can win to I know I can win. When Tom Brady comes into your organization, there's not a doubt in your mind, you know that you can win with this guy. With Jameis, yeah, you did it in college. You a Heisman Trophy winner, national championship, first college football playoff champion, all that kind of stuff there. But you ain't never did it on this level. But in comes a guy who won 6 Super Bowls, and he's your quarterback now. That is going to change the narrative in the minds of anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like if you're in a pickup game, right? And it's 95. Right? And you at LA Fitness or 24-hour fitness and your team, you know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of guys that, I don't know, just, pick their last bit of money to come into the gym to, you know what I'm saying, to shred off some pounds. And they walk up in the gym and they're like, you know what? Yeah, man, I go out there and play a little basketball. I burn a little cardio and you all become a team, right? And they probably have some guys out there in better shape. They go out there and wax you. And in comes a prime Michael Jordan. And Mike like, man, can I take one of y'all's spot? And one of the guys say, yeah, I'm going to sit down. What do you think you're going to feel, right? You know what I'm saying? You was losing every game with these guys, these Joe Blows. And all of a sudden, Michael Jordan comes in and want to play on your team. What you going to think? Man, we about to run a table on these boys, right? It builds your confidence, right? It's better than having George Costanza on your team, right? You know what I'm saying? A little short guy, that's just trying to burn some cardio. Some of you probably watch Seinfeld know who I'm talking about. But it's one thing for you go from having George Costanza or Wayne Knight, who played Newman on Jerry Seinfeld, to actually having Jordan on your team. He changes your mind. So, of course, if Tom Brady walks into your locker room, you're going to be like, I think I can win this, Keen Arthur, what's going on, man? He says, TJ, information without context is a breeding ground for misconception and false perception. A lot of contribute. Jameis struggle. Dude has talent. Yeah, that's true. Look, I'm not going to knock Jameis for having talent. He's extremely talented. He has great abilities, great skills, but it's all about, utilizing. I think about quarterback Jeff George back in the early 90s, right? Jeff George, they said that man can thread the needle. I mean, he had a Patrick Mahomes arm before people knew who Patrick Mahomes was, before Patrick Mahomes even existed. Jeff George had all the skills to pay the lights and the phone bills. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had it all, right? But he couldn't execute. He couldn't go out there and put it out there on the field. So you can have all these skills. You can have all this stuff in your favor. But if you can't go out there and execute, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares how strong Jeff George's arm was. Nobody cares about the bazooka arm. Nobody cares you can thread the needle. Nobody cares if you out there throwing more picks than Razor Ramon. If you know what I'm saying, nobody cares about that. You got to be able to perform. And if Jameis can't perform, then it's pointless. It is absolutely pointless, my friends. The Willie Lynch letter was actually written by Cornel West. If you read the letter, you'll realize people don't use those words at that time. But his purpose was to get blacks awoken. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? A Willie Lynch letter, but here's the thing. You say it was written by Cornel West, but here's the thing. Willie Lynch used to go, he was, first off, give y'all a little history lesson. He was a European, right? And he came from Europe, and he would go from place to place. You know what I'm saying? He was almost like the slave cleaner, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Your slaves are running wild. You know what I'm saying? They all out of line. They unorganized. He was the cleaner. He came in with the philosophies and the ideologies to get you back in shape. You know what I'm saying? He was I don't know. You know what I'm saying? He was the cleaner. I'll just use it as that. And slave owners, plantation owners would use his philosophies and apply it to how to train the slaves. That is basically what the letter was, how to train your slave, right? I hate to say it like this, but a lot of that philosophy is being used today about how to train us. And a lot of us are, we at the Westchester Open right now because we are well trained right now because we are not really fully understanding or trying to decipher, what's real and what's not. What do I know and what I don't know? So, Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, who did an outstanding job, with putting that letter together and applying it. But Willie Lynch, he was definitely an actual real person. He was a real person, and he made a lot of money from plantation owners and, slave owners across the world, just to come in and talk to them. TJ, I love your analogies, my friend. You are truly doing what you were born to do. Keep up the great work. Piano Dean, thank you so much. Man, definitely got to get out there to Myrtle Beach to, where you at, performing. I definitely got to get out there, man. Shouts out to you. Taysom has the stronger arm. Jazz Master, shouts out to you, but no, he doesn't. He doesn't have a stronger arm than Jameis Winston. Hill can't read defenses. I disagree with that. I think that Hill can read defenses. I just think that the nervousness combined with I mean, the shoes he have to fill. I mean, I think it kind of gets to him. But I think he can read defenses. I'm not going to say that about him. He was trash and didn't practice. I don't know who he talking about here, Jules. Who is trash? You know what to say, TJ? I'm just saying there's a difference between context and an excuse, regardless of if people care or not. You don't throw 5,100 yards, 33 touchdowns by mistake. Look, I agree. And let me clarify that. You know, if it seems like you know, if I feel like, oh man, you know what I'm saying, that's the excuse. No, I'm telling you, I'm telling you from a fan and human nature. Like, we can't departmentalize like that. Not all of us. A lot of people can't. Some people can. Like yourself, several individuals here. But when it's happening, right, and we have such an emotional investment in it, sometimes we ain't trying to hear that excuse. Like, the Saints won the division this past season, right? The Saints had 2 home games. The Saints lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the team that they beat twice in the regular season. And everybody is saying, well, Drew Brees was banged up. To be honest with yourself. A part of you is like, that's not an excuse. Look how y'all was winning this whole entire time, right? Y'all need to find a way to win. Be real. Be real with yourself. That a part of you is like, how come y'all can overcome that type of adversity? How come y'all can overcome the adversity of the Detroit Lions and not having 2 starting cornerbacks? How can you overcome the adversity for 4 games and win 3 out of the 4, and y'all can't win a playoff game versus a team that you beat in week 1, blew out in week 9, and you can't beat them? Are you serious? A part of you feels that way. It's human nature. What I'm saying is some people can't departmentalize. Some people are not going to accept that excuse, okay? I understand it. I understand that coaching matters. I understand that schemes matter. I understand that ball placement matters. I understand that the wide receiver and the quarterback need to be on the same page. Some people don't understand it. Some people think that football is about throwing the football, oh, I'm open. You know what I'm saying? Go long. They think that's what it's about. They don't understand that the quarterback throws the football based on timing, right? Okay, you know what I'm saying? As soon as you make that cut, that ball is going to be out. Because as soon as you turn around, it's going to be right here. People don't understand it. People are like, oh, man, you got to go wide receiver. You're supposed to be a good quarterback, make it happen. So there are people that will say, you know what I'm saying, that would be an excuse. Me, I understand. You understand. Some people probably don't. Saying Taysom Hill not capable of reading defenses is ludicrous. The guy went to BYU. Yeah, and he could have went to Stanford, which was his first choice. But I think something happened. I want to say Jim Harbaugh left or something like that. Jim Harbaugh recruited him. So, yeah, he definitely can read, defenses. I just think that the nervousness kind of get to him, too. And his confidence kind of – I don't want to say his confidence wavers, but he gets in his own head. That's something he has to eliminate. Jeff George, a waste of talent. Yeah. We want Mike T to still be that star. Well, I think Mike T will be a star. Look, man, the guy was hurt. Like, we gotta give him the benefit of the doubt. Alvin Kamara had a down season when he was dealing with knee injuries. He played about 71% in the 2019 season. And everybody, we came up with these philosophies. Does he miss Mark Ingram? He misses his friend. But look at him now, man. So give him the benefit of the doubt. He was hurt. Yes, Jazzmaster, elaborate your point, sir. Juice says, preach on. What about the young cornerback in the NFL draft? We need a strong defense and an offense. A strong defense. I guess you mean a strong defensive secondary and offense. I agree with that. And I think they'll get it, man. I trust the process, Jeremiah. I trust the process. I trust the coaching staff. I trust these guys to put these guys in position to succeed. And I think they've proven that over the last 4 years with their draft picks. Shouts out to Jeff Ireland. Shouts out to Mickey Loomis, Sean Payton, collabing, working together. Okay, and also Terry Fontenot, the new general manager of the Falcons. They collaborated. They worked together to put the best quality product on the field via the NFL draft. But I want to thank, speaking of collaboration, want to thank manscaped.com for being a part of the State of Saints podcast as an official sponsor. And as we know, the NFL draft is slowly approaching. We're almost a week away from the NFL draft. And what you need to select during this draft season is Manscaped. Manscaped, over 2 million men prefer Manscaped for their grooming needs. I recommend the Lawnmower 3.0. And there's so many other items that you can choose from. All you have to do is go to manscaped.com. You use the promo code State of Saints, and you will save 20% off of your purchase. Once again, that's manscaped.com. Also want to thank the other sponsors for the month of April, collabing with Cash App. Want to thank Cash App for collabing with the State of the Saints podcast. And if you want to donate to the State of the Saints podcast, if you don't want to use YouTube, you don't want to use Facebook, you can donate to the State of the Saints podcast, $ State of Saints. And thank you to the new sponsor, Everlast. Okay, Everlast since 1910 has been the trusted leader in some of the different event, sporting events, MMA, boxing. Some of the best boxers in the world, people like Deontay Wilder or Canelo Alvarez. These are the individuals that wear Everlast, use and choose Everlast to go into the ring and go out there and fight. I mean, legendary Jack Johnson, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he wore Everlast. Everlast has been around for a very long time. And I want to thank Everlast for being a sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. Now, with all that said, and all those sponsors, that are, helping to make this show a success, get back to the comments. Gonna read a few more and then we'll get up out of here, folks. Thanks. I got Forrest down there. Obi-Wan. Well, look, hopefully Manscaped can help you with that. Man, look, you got to make sure that you're trimmed, fellas, man. The ladies, prefer, guy being trimmed. You got to take care of yourself. You got to groom yourself, fellas, And also, man, there's razors available and everything like that. Everybody that I recommend this to, some of my best friends, family members, people around the way, they always talk about how much they enjoy Manscaped products. And, shouts out to them, man. They stand by their products and they do an excellent job. Thank you, TJ, for reading our comments. Well, no problem, man. And Mario, I appreciate, you saying that. And for those that comments I may have skipped, I just want to say, I apologize, man. I can't always get to everybody's comments. I don't want anybody to take it personal. I understand how important so many people are to the success of this show. A lot of supporters, a lot of people invest their time. I don't want anybody to think that anything is facetious coming my way, or I don't feel like, I feel like you're worthy of a comment being written. Nah, bro. I appreciate everybody, and sometimes, like I said, sometimes the feed goes by a little faster. Sometimes we shift gears and, I scroll down a little bit, but I appreciate everybody's comments. No doubt about it. Mocha, thank you very much. It says tough, LOL. Freddie says, TJ, I hope Sean Payton will be smarter this season. Mike T got hurt because Sean Payton, the game was over. Yeah, Freddie, it wasn't really no need for him to be in the game, but, it happens, right? Black and Gold Breakdown Podcast says Winston, one bad season came from under Bruce Arians, who has a history of giving quarterbacks their worst season in terms of touchdowns to interceptions. Black and Gold Breakdown Podcast, you're absolutely right. I don't see anything wrong with the statement that you said. He leaves a trail of mediocre quarterback play everywhere that he goes, all right? It has a lot to do with his arrogance, his cockiness, his I got to make this situation work, or instead of looking at the quarterback, seeing what you have and not asking him to do something that will put him in a position to fail. So it wasn't until after week 9, after the bye week, did he finally swallow his pride and realize that what he was doing wasn't working. And he decided to change the offense to a more Tom Brady friendly offense, and the rest is history. Tyra, who's a supporter of the State of the Saints podcast via Facebook, she says, hey, TJ, sorry I missed the podcast. Just got off work. I'll catch the next one, but no quarterback competition, though. Winston is the man. Hashtag who that. Well, Tyra, look, I understand everybody has to work, and quite frankly, I'm doing this podcast just a little bit later than I normally do it. Normally, I try to do it like around 2, 3 o'clock. If you're actually looking at it live, we're actually doing it like around about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I understand that. Feel free to be kind and rewind like we used to do with the Blockbuster videotapes, the VHS tapes. Some of y'all who probably not old enough to know what a VHS is. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. When you go to Blockbuster videos, and they always had on the box, "Be kind, rewind." Okay, so be kind and rewind. Feel free to rewind and see what we talked about. We talked about quite a bit here on the show. Keen Arthur says, TJ, how do you feel about the speedster we picked up, Jaylen McCleskey? I think he should be a good compliment to Mike, and insurance to Harris runs a 4.28. Well, yeah, he's definitely a burner. I made a joke the other day. I said, dude need to eat a steak sandwich. 5'11", 175 is unacceptable, man. It's just too doggone small, man. At least get up to about 185, 190. I don't feel like you'll lose your speed in that regard if you work with strength and conditioning coaches. But look, I like the guy. Came from Oklahoma State, very respectable college campaign, 21 touchdowns, 2,400 yards receiving. I think that he can bring a different dynamic. I like the fact that he's confident in himself. I like the fact that no moment doesn't seem like it's too big for him, and also he has that pedigree. Sean Payton likes those guys that have that football pedigree, those guys who parents played in NFL, because he feels like the parents taught these guys how to be professional, how to be pros. They seen the parents, go through the grind, and do everything they needed to do in order for them to be ready for game day. So Sean Payton has an appreciation for those next generation players. You see quite a bit of them on the Saints team, right? Caden Ellis, his father played for the Lions. Cam Jordan, dad played for the Vikings. Mark Ingram when he was here. His dad, played for the Dolphins and the Giants. So, there's so many guys. Kenny Stills, his dad played in the National Football League. The list goes on and on. So I do think that he'll bring like a level of confidence. I don't think that he'll, be one of those guys that get lost in the sauce. I think that he needs to work on his blocking, of course, but that comes with him actually gaining a little weight. But I can see him being that downfield threat. I can see him going on those, what they call Scotty Miller missions, getting behind the defense, catching the ball back of the end zone, catching the ball, going down the field, going vertical. But I can also see him in a wide receiver screen game. He's extremely elusive. And also he has a great vertical jump for a guy of his size. So the Saints definitely got a plus in Jaylen McCleskey. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in training camp. I mean, me saying this is one thing, but once again, you got to apply it to the field. Mocha, thank you very much for the $20. I really do appreciate that. Shouts out to Mocha, man. Not only is an avid viewer, but a supporter of the State of the Saints podcast, and I really do appreciate that, Mocha. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Dada, who's a supporter, also giving a shout out to Jerry Poor. And let's read a few more. Matthew Key, man, my barber. Got my barber in the building. Shouts out to my boy Matthew Keys, man. Hey, y'all probably see me wear a shirt from time to time called Keep It Fresh. That is the shop for my guy Keys, man. Shouts out to my boy, man. Yeah, people be talking about, how fresh my cut is. Hey, that's my guy right there. That's my barber. Shouts out to my barber. That's what you guys support. With your barber watching the podcast. Jared says, you and Moscona, dude, after further review, were the only media that give Jameis a fair shake. Well, shouts out to my guy, Matt Moscona, man, who was here on the State of the Saints podcast. Solid dude right there, man. Solid dude. But look, man, I give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove me otherwise. Like you just look, if you show me who you are, I believe you, But if I feel like, I look at your circumstances and what happened, and I try to apply it accordingly. But if you go out there and be staking it up after I give you the benefit of the doubt, no, sir. Last question. McCleskey is a burner, but Lil Jordan Humphreys and Juwan Johnson both show very serviceable flashes when what number was called. Who wins the last receiver spot in training camp, you feel? Look, I'm going to give it to Lil Jordan Humphreys. This is Lil Jordan Humphreys' opportunity. I'm going to always give it to a person that I feel like is above average blocker because the Saints love those wide receivers that can block on the outside. Lil Jordan Humphreys, if you notice in his rookie season, Lil Jordan was out there. And Lil Jordan was out there, and he was out there because he was an above average blocker. And when he got hurt, they got Keyshawn Hogan. Juwan Johnson, I feel like he's a big body guy, but to me, it don't seem like he know how to use his size as a pro just yet. Now I see him out there, he working out with Jameis and stuff like that. That's cool. I ain't got no problem with that. But he needs to work on his skills as a blocker. I feel like Lil Jordan has the advantage because he's been in the system. I think I look at the fact that when he caught that touchdown against the Chiefs, the fact that out of all the players that Drew could have threw the ball to, he threw it to Lil Jordan and he came down with the football. So that built his confidence right there. You combine that with his above average blocking, his knowledge of the playbook. I'm giving him the advantage over Juwan Johnson. And finally, Drew said, TJ, would you be who would be a steal in the draft? Who would be a steal? Who would actually be a steal? To me, it would be Cam Sample. You know what I'm saying? I think Sample out of Tulane, I think that he would actually be a steal. I think that this guy has a high motor. And I can't remember. I apologize. Somebody asked me about Sample on the last show, but I feel like he would definitely be a steal. He's a guy with a high motor. He's a guy that will, he plays to the whistle blows. Anybody that ends up getting Sample is going to have themselves a good edge rusher. And the only reason why I'm not really pushing for him that much is because I know for a fact that the Saints got bigger fish to fry. So Sample to me would be a good steal. Also, Terence Marshall would also be a good draft steal. Terence Marshall, the wide receiver out of LSU. Look, I think you see a theme here. I'm kind of biased against Louisiana players, but anyway, Terence Marshall would definitely be a steal. He's not being talked about like you hearing the Devontae Smiths or the Jamar Chases, but he's just as good as any of those other guys. And to me, I think he kind of saved himself, because he knew what he was going to do at the end of the season going to the NFL draft. So Terence Marshall, Sample, those are my guys. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of someone else before we get out of here. And also, like I said, Tyson Campbell, man. I know y'all heard me talk about him, the cornerback out of Georgia. I think he has the length and the size. He's probably going to be a late second round, early third round pick at corner. I think he can be a difference maker for a team. Depends on the circumstance where he goes, who is coaching him. He goes somewhere like the Jets with Robert Saleh, he'll be a really good fit for them. If he goes somewhere like the Saints with Chris Richard, being a larger guy, he'll be a good fit for him. He goes out there to Pete Carroll out there in Seattle. I think that would be a good fit for him. So Tyson Campbell, Cam Sample, and also Terence Marshall. Those would be the three guys right out of my head. That would be right out of my head that I can just think of. And I'll just end with Brandon. Brandon says, yes, Jameis Winston is not Drew Brees, but I still believe we can win the division. I believe the Saints offense is going to have confidence in Winston and Hill, and we will still be a force to be reckoned with. Brandon, look, I agree with you. I don't feel like there were just so many guys that exit the Saints organization that the Saints can't find guys to pick up the slack. Now, when you're going into a locker room, different philosophies, different players, you got to learn how to win. You got to learn how to adjust. You got to understand people's philosophies and mind frames and ideologies and all that kind of stuff. But the Saints still have the core leadership. Drew Brees, who was the unsung leader of the Saints, he's retired. But you still have the Mario Davis. Still have Teron Armstead. Still have Cam Jordan. You know what I'm saying? You still have your leadership on your team, guys that can help these young guys transition and become constant pros. And you also have guys that can come into the locker room. You ain't got to worry about can poison or mess up or disrupt the nucleus and the chemistry of what's going on in the locker room. So I definitely believe that. And if the Saints get, I say this, 50% of the draft right, and you combine that going out here and getting some free agents that can kind of, play and contribute to the team, then I think the Saints should be okay. But I want to thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for choosing the State of the Saints podcast. And if you like the podcast, do your boy a favor. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Let everybody know that you enjoy the podcast. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. For all my HBCU football lovers out there, ones that follow the Southwestern Athletic Conference, also known as the SWAC, a new podcast that I started called The State of the SWAC is available right now on YouTube as well. That's youtube.com, search The State of the SWAC. And also previous episodes of both State of the SWAC and State of the Saints are available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. Once again, special thank you to Cash App, Everlast, and Manscaped.com, the official sponsors of the State of the Saints podcast. And you all enjoy the rest of your day, your morning, your night, whenever you're watching this podcast. And also, I forgot to mention this too. Now, the State of the Saints podcast is available on TuneIn. So if you have the TuneIn app, you listen to the games or you listen to the radio on TuneIn, you can check out the State of the Saints podcast episodes. They are available on TuneIn as of yesterday. So really excited about being on TuneIn, giving us another platform to let everybody know about the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all very much. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?